Hi, and thank you for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. This week, we are talking about desire. What types of things do you desire? And when you have desires, do you find that you make good choices or bad choices? Probably depends on what you're desiring. And so we've been looking to people in the Bible who had strong desires, acted on them, and then we're comparing it to other portions of the Bible that challenge us how we should use our desires to draw us closer to God. Today, we're going to be reading a story from Genesis chapter 39. And this is an interesting story because you see two different characters with very different desires who have very different ideas of how they want to respond. Let's see some of the tension that is created there. We're going to begin in chapter 39 of the book of Genesis, starting in verse 1. It says, when Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Now, if you haven't read Genesis in a while or ever, a lot of the book of Genesis, the final chapters are about a man named Joseph. Joseph is one of the sons of Jacob, and we follow his story for several chapters. An interesting thing a couple chapters ago is that he was actually betrayed by his brothers. They got jealous. You can read the story, and they actually sold him into slavery. And here we find him now being purchased by Potiphar, an important officer within Egypt. Let's continue in verse 2. The Lord was with Joseph. I just love that. I'm sorry. These are so hard for me because I want to pause at everything. But does God say that about you? Is the Lord with you? Like, what a powerful statement. Like, if it was talking about my day, and the Lord was with Sarah. Like, what a confidence that gives us. He's in an imprisoned situation, a slavery situation, a servant situation, and yet, the Lord was with him. Sorry, that had nothing to do with what I'm talking about today. It just got me excited. Let's go back. Verse 2. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. He experienced favor. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph. Wow. We'll have to preach this another day. Anyway, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar. So he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. I mean, this is a slave going to a prominent position. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. He trusted this man. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing, except what kind of food to eat. All right, you're like, okay, Pastor Sarah, I'm with you. Where's the drama come? Next verse. Here we go. You ready for it? Buckle up. Everything seems to be going great, right? Until this. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. Come and sleep with me, she demanded. Okay, she was not hiding her feelings. She went straight for the kill. She literally says, hey, come and sleep with me. But Joseph refused. Look, he told her, my master trusts me with everything in his entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God. And so here we see people with two different desires. Potiphar's wife's desire, is Joseph. She has a lustful desire. She's fueled by this desire. She wants what she wants. And yet here we have Joseph, similar to what I talked about yesterday. His desire is to honor and obey the laws set before him. In this case, the laws set by Potiphar. He wants to honor what Potiphar has done. And we know that Joseph knew God. And so ultimately he wanted to honor God. His desire was for that. These conflicting desires. Hopefully, she's just like, oh, thanks for the reminder. No, she continues on. It goes on in verse 10. She kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her. and he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around. When he went to do his work, she came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, "Come sleep with me." Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hand as he ran from the house. Does this remind you of anything? This struggle over temptation? We all have a Potiphar's wife in our life. It's called Satan. Satan is trying to get us to trip up, get us to sin, get us to give in to temptation and sinful desires, pursuing us over and over and over, trying to beat us down. I don't know what kind of desires that you may struggle with from a sinful perspective in your life. Maybe it is intimacy. Maybe it is closeness. Maybe it is another person and being with them. I want to challenge you today with a psalm about a different presence that we can desire to be in. In Psalm 63, beginning in verse 1, the psalmist says, "O God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water. I have seen you in your sanctuary and gazed upon your power and glory. Your unfailing love is better than life itself. How I praise you. I will praise you as long as I live, lifting up my hands to you in prayer. You satisfy me more than the richest feast. I will praise you with songs of joy." What a desire! A desire, a longing to be in the presence of God, a desire to have a closeness, dare I say, an intimacy with God, a vulnerability, a knowing of one another, not a superficial relationship, not a checkbox relationship. Okay, I did this, I did that, but knowing God and being known by God. You see, desires can often lead to an emptiness and a longing for relationship. And we can look to fill that desire in relationships in this world. And God has blessed us with healthy ways to do that. But more than anything, our desire can only be met for intimacy in our relationship with God. When was the last time that you longed to be in his presence? When was the last time that you literally could say, "My soul thirsts for you, God. I can't wait until I'm with you." We all have desires. We desire for relationship. What types of relationships do you desire most? Is it your time with your relationships here on earth? Or are you developing a longing and a desire more so for your relationship with your Heavenly Father? I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for another daily dose for spiritual growth.